And from wherever you are, just let your heart be centered. Let your heart reach out, open up, and touch everyone on the screen and everyone at UCOH and the world. Mother, Father, God, we are so grateful for our connectivity, for our time together, for our caring, for our loving, and for the opportunities that we have. Be with us today. Guide us and lead us on your path for the very best outcomes, what we want or something better. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Mary, for keeping us aligned. All right, well, we'll go ahead and get into it. There are four things that I would like to cover today. One is the state of the church facilities following the storm. We did have some impact. Fortunately, it's not too extensive. The current state of UCOH's finances, an update on the senior minister search, and then finally our plans for reopening. So 4 items, and we'll try and move through them expeditiously. So the first thing with the state of the church after the storm, I touched base with Des earlier this morning, and we've had a number of things. There's been a small leak in the sanctuary building near the bathrooms, and that was due to an ice dam on the roof. Fortunately, it didn't result in really any damage to the building. It is something that's going to have to be looked at, and so there's going to be a repair or an assessment done this coming week. We shut off the water to the church to prevent any potential leaks, and plumbers have been notified that we may be calling them next week if we have issues. Hopefully, if we do, we'll be able to get a hold of somebody. There were some broken lines in the well pump house. The pump appears to be okay, and those are PVC lines, so it shouldn't be too difficult to get those fixed. And that pump house isn't critical for our potable water, just for irrigation. And then we had some broken irrigation lines to the garden. So those will need to be repaired so that we can get the water from the well to the garden for irrigating our plants and so forth. So overall, I think we can be very grateful. We didn't suffer much damage, nothing of great significance, and things are in pretty good shape. So that's kind of the status of what's happened at the church. I just wanted to let everybody know. The next piece is our current state of the financial position. Over the past few months, there have been a number of things that have gone on since we last did this kind of full update. We received 100% forgiveness for the phase 1 PPP grant loan. It was a fully forgiven loan, so that's wonderful news, and thanks to Gene for initiating that and Ron for making that happen. We're continuing to operate in a conservative fashion to maintain our cash position. We've applied for and received an EIDL loan, and that's going to help us with our cash flows at a lower interest rate than our current mortgage, and we'll be strategizing on exactly how to utilize those funds as we move forward when necessary. We've also applied for and received a phase 2 PPP grant loan, which is going to as well help us as we move forward into 2021. We've restarted WeWisdom, and they've been running, obviously shut down due to the storm. We're continuing to focus our ties out on local efforts. The sharing is caring, and we'll continue to do so because there's so much need right now with both the pandemic and now, of course, with the storm as well too. I wanted to say woohoo again on our successful end of year giving campaign. We exceeded our goal, and thank you all so much for that effort. We also finally received a great audit report. We did a review this year. We oscillate generally back and forth between reviews and full audits. This year we did a second year of a review as a cost saving measure. Our finances are in such good shape and so well reported. We had no comments from the auditor, and we were in good shape as well too. So really hats off to Ron on just excellent financial information and reports and information that's been given to the auditors. So big win there. I wanted to move back and take a look next at the former state of our finances. So this was that chart that we had put forward back in November of last year, and we were in a downward trend and it was starting to look pretty tight. And that's when we came to the congregation and said, we need to do something different, and initiated our capital campaign. And I am pleased to report that that trend shifted. So the first half of this chart, going from June of last year until mid-October, where we sort of hit a low point, shows that continued downward trend. From that point on, we have had general positive trends, particularly over the end of year campaign. And you can see that that campaign peaked at the beginning and at the end, but that there was steady improvement through the course of November and December up to the beginning of January. And that generosity and consciousness has allowed us to move into our second quarter ahead of budget with some cash reserves, and really in a good, strong financial position. I threw on here some trend lines that may be a little difficult to see, but you can see they're headed up as you go to the right. The blue line represents our weekly total revenue that's realized, and you can see there's quite a bit of variation in that. So to smooth that out a little bit, I've added a couple of other lines. The black one is a 4-week running average, and you can see there's still a fair amount of variability in that. And then the green line is an 8-week running average, and you can see that it smooths out those weekly variations quite a bit. And we can see the slope of that line is quite positive, which is great from comparison to the early parts of or latter part of last year, where it was all negative. To focus in on that a little bit more specifically, and just picking up at the end of fiscal year 2020, which was in October through this year, again, we're seeing the positive trends overall. What we see is that the 8-week average is a steeper slope than the weekly average. And so what that means is that we're seeing week to week, especially over these last few weeks, a reduced trend, which is obvious in the numbers. We can see that starting in January, numbers dropped off, and then in early February, we did have a very good week that has helped offset and kept our average for the last 8 weeks in between our break even and budget amounts. And so we've been running close to budget, actually above budget in November and December, and then averaging slightly lower in the last few weeks. So what does all this mean, and what is ours to do around finances as a community? One, to continue to maintain our gifts and tithes at average levels of at least $20,000 per week, but preferably slightly over $25,000 per week. Operating in that range, we'll be able to meet expenses. The closer we get to that 25,000, the better prepared we'll be for variations in income and so forth, as well as have some additional cash reserves for unforeseen expenses. Really want to continue to promote automated giving to help level out those cash flows. You saw on those charts earlier the broad deviations from week to week in giving, and we feel that it would be very beneficial to try and have steady, ongoing, uniform contributions rather than these peaks and valleys. Other things we can do, we are, currently a number of folks, about 30, are participating in a Prosperity Plus 3 class to improve our prosperity consciousness. Those kinds of programs will continue to offer as we move forward into 2021 to improve our consciousness around that, so we can step into that flow of circulating good, receiving and giving in substantially larger ways. Last time that we did this, we had a number of potential measures that we were facing to take if things did not improve. And what I can happily report is that those measures for right now are on hold. They were things that we didn't really want to do, curtailment of services and so forth. And I didn't even list them because I don't want to put energy into them. We know what they are. They're there on the Plan B roster, if you will. But right now everything looks positive. We're in good financial position. We just need to continue to maintain the level of giving that we've been seeing over the last few months on average. So overall, state of the finances are good. The drop off in January is somewhat typical, and we are optimistic that with some of the other things that are coming up, we'll see improvement as well too. So now for some of the big ticket news. This is the update on our senior minister search. Our first piece I would like to roll out there is that our ministerial candidate search team, the consciousness team, the marketing team have all been working in the background, doing a lot of work, vetting candidates and so forth, interviews and so forth and so on. And just really want to express our gratitude to everybody on all those teams and the amazing amount of work that they've been doing in helping us find our new senior minister. I want to report, and happy to report, that we have a viable candidate that the ministerial candidating team has brought forward to the board. This week we have done an initial interview with the candidate and are going to be moving forward in conversation, and expect to be able to bring forward more information in the next week, so that everybody can find out more about this candidate. So we'll continue to move forward with the process and putting out information in the coming week about this candidate as we continue to do our evaluation and talk through all of the pieces that need to be considered as part of this consideration. Just wanted to let everybody know that there will be opportunities for everyone to meet with candidates as we consider them. That includes not only the board, but the staff, the LUTs, the chaplaincy, and of course the congregation. Will provide those opportunities as we move forward. And then there will be opportunities for input from everybody prior to the board taking any action when we get to that point. But we're not at that point yet. There's plenty of process between now and then. But just wanted to affirm for everybody that there will be these opportunities to have conversations, to hear sermons or messages, and to provide feedback to the board as we move through the process. So things are moving, and I'm optimistic they're going to be moving quickly, and we will keep everybody posted as we make progress. Wanted to also address plans for reopening. The reopening committee or team continues to provide us with guidance and updates as things change. City of Austin did move from stage 5 to stage 4, which by our matrix that we have put together was a point where we could go ahead and then return to live operations. And so as a result, we're going to be opening up live services in the sanctuary starting on February 28th. We also want to hold a vision of mitigation of the pandemic and increased participation in the live services and events. The matrix that we're using as a guidance document allows for us to have milestones for opening up greater and greater capacities as we feel that things are improving. And so we want to hold that vision of healing, not just in the congregation, but globally around that, so that we can all move back into being together again. The registration for the service on the 28th, next Sunday, is $25 for now. And the registration is to open directly following this meeting. One of the things we wanted to do, though, was because folks here are active and involved and interested. For those of you that do want to come and participate, we're going to go ahead and give you the link right now. So that link is in the chat, and you can go to that link. I think it's active right now. If you can multitask, I'll wait till afterwards, but that's available. So you can go ahead and sign up if you are wanting to come to a live service. And so that rounds out the information that we wanted to share with you from the board.